This is the engine bay inspection on the 2011 Mini Countryman S. What we're going to do is document and look for any kind of leaks or failure points here. Everything on the top side appears to be leak-free, and we don't have any major concerns there. And we do have a slightly low coolant reservoir level. I would not be very concerned about that at all. I probably just have to. It was probably done during the service of this replacement high pressure fuel pump, as well as some various fallout from the repair. Now, moving up, we do have under these covers our brake fluid reservoir. It looks intact. And on this side, we do have our battery, which looks like it has been replaced recently. Otherwise, we're looking for signs of super deep cleaning or any strange residues, and we don't really see much there. Let's see, moving on to the front crash rail here, looking for any signs of broken plastic or impacts, in which we see none there either. It does look like this engine bay has been cleaned a bit, but nothing suspiciously cleaned, not super clean, just kind of dusted off a bit. So I don't think that's abnormal. I'm going to give the engine bay a clean bill of health. Thank you. This will be the exterior portion of our inspection here. We'll start at the front left. We're looking for fitment, any signs of paint, respray, overspray, or anything that'll show us there was any kind of collision damage at any point. Moving from the fender here, as well as the headlight assembly, it looks like everything is clean, flush. There are no strange gaps over here, as well as the hood clamshell there. Moving down to the side, we have a good flush line coming all the way down, and we'll move to the center section here. Again, clean flush line all the way down, no inconsistencies and gap there. Now on this portion here, we do have, it's kind of hard to see in the video, it looks like possibly this window motor has failed at some point and somebody had taped the window up, which happens, but during the inspection the window does in fact work, and it works well. We do have our rear section here. Fuel door is straight, works, operates fine. Gap is consistent with the rest of the gap, and we are going to move to the back portion, inspect the rear hatch, the tail light, and rear bumper. It looks like all the gaps in tail light housing, rear hatch gap are correct. No issues there. We're going to check for tightness of said rear bumper. We don't have any issue with that until we get to the center of it, which seems to move quite a bit. So that may be prior collision. Probably not. It's probably one of the plastic retaining panels probably that go under there at some point. Our Mini Cooper badge / hatch operates just as it should. Rear wiper is actually easy to change, which is nice on some of these. Again, moving on to the right side of the rear, we have a good gap here. Moving on to the tail light and the bumper cover, it does look like our gaps are all consistent. Paint is actually in really good condition here. We don't have any kind of signs of overspray or anything, or not even that much orange peel, which is nice. Moving on to also the roof here, we do have that panoramic sunroof. It does work as it should and is intact and in good shape. We do have The seal's starting to pull just a little bit, but that's due to age. Nothing to be concerned about there. Moving back to our panel gaps here on the door. Everything looks square and true there. We have no problems with any of the grounding kit or ground effects or mirrors. Back up to the A-pillar here, we come down, and it looks like all those gaps are square, flush, and true, which is nice. Now, we did notice something on inspection. This side marker light here, it looks like the retaining clip is in fact broken on that, so that may need to be addressed sooner than later for sure. Otherwise, we move on to the front right fender. Again, we're looking for panel gaps and any kind of bumper movement, and we have none, which is nice. Headlight looks like it's slightly oxidized, but not that big of a deal. However, I will have to say that the bulb for the both high and low beam on this particular headlight is out. Moving on to the front of the vehicle, we got some minor rock chips and some minor scratches. Nothing too worrisome, and really, it's just going to be about on par for a vehicle of this age. We'll move on to the secureness of the front bumper, which is solid, nice and solid. All right, that will wrap up our exterior. Thank you. Moving on to our undercarriage portion of the inspection here. It does look right away we have a loose wire, loose connector kind of coming from the fog light area. That might need to be looked at and addressed. Otherwise, we look further under the engine compartment here, and we don't see any signs of major leaks or distress. It looks like our front suspension is indeed intact and in good shape, serviceable. And it doesn't seem like we have any major issues there. We'll move on to the left front side of the vehicle here, and we do see again no signs of anything really pouring, dripping, or leaking there. And we will move on to the back. This will be our view of the back side of the engine bay, and it does look like, again, we don't have any major concerns there. We're not seeing any signs of suspension wear, leaks, or drips at this time. Moving on to the side of the vehicle, again, we don't see any rust, any oxidation at all at this car. This is a good sign. We like to see that. And we'll move on to the rear underclading here. You can't see a whole lot, but that is intact and seems to be in good shape. Now moving on to the very rear of the vehicle. During our inspection here, this is an all-wheel drive vehicle, so we will take a peek at the differential there, as well as the CV axles and the rear suspension. And it doesn't seem like we have any drips, leaks, drops, or dribbles from either side or either component. And we will take a peek at the major suspension components. Moving on to the right of the rear, and again, everything seems like it's in decent shape. Perhaps those rear shocks may be starting to weep a bit, but I would just monitor that in the future and not be concerned about it. And finally, the right side of the vehicle here. Looks like we do have part of the plastic underclading that has gotten just slightly damaged here, probably on a poor jack point is what I would assume, but I don't see any reason to be concerned about that whatsoever. Again, no rust, no major issues, and all lines are intact. Thank you. Moving on to the interior portion of our Mini Countryman inspection. It does look like this car is in overall pretty good condition. We do have a couple of things to monitor here. One being the speaker on this door pod is in fact blown, and it does make a noise. You will notice it, so it may need to be monitored. Moving down, we do have some slight wear on the seat bolster. Nothing incredibly unusual here. It just is indicative of the vehicle's age, I believe. Again, nothing that is a major cause for concern here. Now, steering wheel wise, the steering wheel is in good shape. It is not sticky or wearing strangely at all. We do have some wear on the cruise control button there, which doesn't affect operation, however, is just noticeable wear. Other than that, everything does seem fairly intact in the driver cockpit here. We do have some remnants, and USB and auxiliary in are working. Switches on these minis are unconventional and in strange places, but all the windows do work. Locks work, AC works, everything works well. Speedometer is right in the middle again, and a tachometer up right above the steering wheel for you. Moving up, the sunroof is a panoramic style. It operates as it should, closes and opens, slides just like you would expect. Thank you. Moving on to the rear, this vehicle is a fairly clean vehicle here. We do have, again, signs of wear and use, which isn't abnormal and is going to be part of the experience of a vehicle of this age. Now, we did notice that there are the clamshell there for the seatbelt buckle receptor is removed. We don't know why, but it could just be a simple fix as put it back on. The seatbelt does operate as it should, as well as the seat fold downs and everything like that. And we're not having any kind of indication of fault. So we're not really sure why those have been removed. And moving on to the right rear section of this particular Mini. Again, signs of use. Minor signs of wear here and there. However, overall condition of this rear passenger compartment looks good to me. Moving on to the front right portion of this inspection. The passenger seat is intact. Looks like carpet is well, and there's no strange smells. All the vents work as they should. The gear shift feels solid. Doesn't feel loose or wobbly at all. And this will conclude the interior portion of our inspection. Thank you. This will be the rear cargo area / trunk inspection of this Mini. We do have, again, the handle that flips and opens. It looks like the shocks are holding this without a problem. There is a rear panel here with a very empty, free of tools. Unfortunately, there isn't a spare tire kit or spare tire that I could locate. Again, the seats do fold down. They fold flush, and that operates as well. There is sometimes a beauty cover found on these that attaches into these points here that seems to be missing. Otherwise, everything seems like it's in fairly decent shape. Appreciate it. Thank you. Moving on to the code scan portion of our vehicle inspection on this Mini Countryman. It looks like we do have a few quote-unquote faults. Some of these haven't been cleared since service was done, which is actually nice to see. As you can see, we will show that these are, in fact, absent, is what many will call it. It seems like the brakes were serviced sometime recently. So we do have a couple of those historical codes, and we do have a couple of what we call present or active codes, which are both the high beam and the low beam module or bulb. I would monitor that. Probably I check out a bulb for this vehicle, and that could be your issue there. It also could be a module problem, which is unlikely. More than likely, it is just a bulb issue which needs to be replaced. Other than that, we don't have anything that we are really going to worry about. Again, there I think was some service done on this recently, and those weren't completely cleared. So that is actually nice to see. All right, I'm going to give that a clean bill of health. Thank you. This will be our conclusions video for the 2011 Mini Countryman S. All four-wheel drive Mini. Now there's one thing I did want to bring to your attention is this mismatched tire in the front left. It looks like there's some curb rash on that wheel as well. I believe there was probably damage to the tire and wheel there at some point. Otherwise, overall, this vehicle runs out well. The test drive went very well. It shifts nice and smooth, as sport mode does indeed work. Everything seems like it works and operates as it should, which is a very good sign on one of these minis. Actually, it looks like it was serviced, maintained, and well taken care of, except for a few minor details such as the side marker issue there. Again, the headlight being out on the front right, and a little minor wear and tear. All right, well, I do appreciate your time, and thank you very much.